Thanks very much for being with us. Are you surprised by this downgrade, or is this a situation we already knew about?
The Spanish economy is in a tricky situation, falling into recession, and then on top of that needs to implement or reduce quite significantly the deficit with an aggressive austerity package. So in that sense, the economic outlook has been falling for a number of months now, so I don't think it's too much of a surprise.
Daragh, the S&P said in its statement that it's concerned that the Spanish banks will need to be recapitalised and that money would need to come from the Spanish government, adding to the Spanish government's net debt. That was the main concern they talked about. Do you agree that the Spanish government, the Spanish banks need to recapitalise?
Well, they've been certainly trying to improve the capital levels of the Spanish bank and remove uncertainties around the losses they're facing on Spanish real estate. But looking at the economic outlook and looking at the experiences of other countries in terms of the level of losses, it's still reasonable to assume that the banking system is facing more losses now. Some of the Spanish banks are in a position to deal with those losses, but unfortunately others are not, and it's reasonable to think that they could need to rely on government support or additional capital to absorb potential losses on their real estate exposure.
Where do you think that additional capital would come from, though? Would it be coming from the markets? Do you think they've got any chance of raising that, or would they have to come from some European institution via the Spanish government?
Well, I think realistically at this stage, for some of the for a number of the domestic banks, the government is looking at or considering government-backed support. I mean, we've seen already them go through a number of attempts to improve the capitalisation of the system through the FROB and now through the deposit fund guarantee to help absorb some of the losses, but the market still has doubts about the levels of capital and about the level of losses. So we've seen reports that the government is considering taking additional steps that would need to see them providing some support.
When do you think that has to happen? Because I mean, we're seeing Spanish bond yields rising. There's continuing tension in the market. There's a risk of contagion to Italy. How long can this prevarication continue for? When do you think that we need to see some sort of action there?
Well, the sooner the better, to be honest. I mean, with any real estate crisis or property bust that then impacts broadly a banking system. I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened. There are numerous examples, both in this crisis and over the last 30 years. And really, the experience of other countries would point to the best course of action being acting quickly, aggressively, and trying to clean up the problem definitively as quick as possible. So, that's really, I think, the best thing that we can say for the Spanish government is to try and clean up this issue as quickly and as definitively as possible.
I just want to ask you why you think Spain's borrowing costs are higher than that of Italy or even France, for that matter. I mean, debt to GDP in Spain it's 84% of GDP. That's where it's going to be in 2013. That's actually less than France and Italy. Why are those bond yields higher? Is it because the situation in Spain is getting worse?
Well, rather going through a kind of a detailed comparison of the different countries, I mean, I think just the issues facing Spain are significant, and that there are uncertainties about the outlook over the next 12-18 months. There is still an unresolved issue in the banking sector. Don't want to take away from the progress that has been made over the last couple of years, but there's still lingering doubts about the losses on real estate. And then on top of that, you have an economy in recession and facing the need for significant austerity. And the combination of those two factors is having an impact.
Is this austerity going to work? Joseph Stiglitz is saying again today, Europe is headed for economic suicide because no large country has ever pulled off a successful austerity program.
Well, there's a strong argument to to support the fact that this level of austerity, I mean, if they really try and reach the targets of deficit of 5.3% this year and 3% next year, will actually have the effect of causing a greater recession and those targets being missed. So Spain and the Eurozone is in a difficult situation. We think unlikely that those deficit targets are going to be met and that Spain is going to be in recession this year and next year.
Daragh, much has been made of the labour market reforms that have been introduced by Rajoy's government. How long do you think, what's the feeling in Spain about how long it will take for those reforms to actually kick in terms of bringing down the unemployment rate?
Well, I think the labour market reforms in Spain has been an issue on the table for a long time, for something for Spain to address. It's not going to have an immediate impact. I mean, it is a medium-term structural reform, and it's really designed to help generate employment as the economy grows, rather than stop the economy slipping into recession and jobs being destroyed. So in that sense, we're not going to see an immediate impact, and the government has highlighted that they're not expecting unemployment to come down this year, but hopeful that as the economy starts growing again, this labour reform will better position the Spanish economy to create jobs as it comes out of the recession.
For the moment, though, it is, as you say, Daragh, in recession. Daragh Quinn there, analyst at Nomura International from Madrid. Thanks for being with us. Thanks very much, David Tweed.